Testing 1 2 1 2.
No, I changed my name.
All right. Could you acknowledge yourself for showing up today?
Yeah. Even decide to even come any kind of way here today. Thank you for coming to A Course in Miracles. I'm Earl. I appreciate that. We're gonna try to get into something really deep today. We got what's called Valentine's Day coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we see how insecure we are.
That's right.
How much we think we need validation outside of ourselves sometimes. But it's also great to be appreciated and loved. And so the Course in Miracles workbook lesson today is what?
Blessed as the Son of God.
I am blessed as a son of God, which is the same as saying I'm blessed as a child of love. I'm blessed as a child of love. I'm blessed as a child of love. And so I'm going to introduce some new ideas and new concepts today, maybe, to some of you. And the Course in Miracles teaches that there are basically four stages to accepting a new idea. And it's really important to kind of keep this in mind. Rule number one is you allow yourself to hear it without believing it. You allow yourself to hear it without anyone trying to get you to believe it. Because in order for something to be new, it needs to be different. And if it's different, isn't it going to be something in what we normally think? And if it's something that's different from what we normally think, doesn't that tend to bring up resistance? Mm-hmm. Right, so if I say I want to hear something new, but at the same time I think that I'm just going to hear it without any kind of resistance whatsoever, that may happen, but more than likely that's not what's going to happen. More than likely what's going to happen is that a part of you that thinks differently, that you have identified with, that you've even made a part of your personality, may not want to hear it or believe it. And so that's why the first thing to remember is that you need not believe it. That you don't have to believe it. So when I say things from A Course in Miracles, keep in mind that I'm not saying that you have to believe the idea. And then the next thing that we're told is that the new idea must be repeated over and over and over again, because that's how the subconscious learns. That's how the unconscious mind learns, is through repetition. So we don't realize that perception is learning, which means that what I see is what I've learned. And I'm interpreting what I see based on what I've learned. So what if what I've learned isn't true? Then I'm constantly having perceptions that don't reflect truth and don't reflect love. How can I tell if I'm having perceptions that don't reflect the truth? How you feel. Okay, are you feeling peace? Are you feeling joy? Are you feeling whole? Are you feeling complete? Are you feeling happy? Based on that, when I first studied the Course, I realized I had a whole hell of a lot of wrong beliefs. That I had tons of wrong beliefs. Beliefs that I was not seeing correctly. So then it says you repeat it over and over again, and then the funny thing that happens is you start to repeat it over and over again to yourself, and then you start to accept it a little bit more and more, and then you start to repeat it even more, and then you start to accept it even more with reservations, and then you finally accept it as the truth. And then when you accept it as the truth, then that's when you perceive it and you experience it in your physical world. So by the time you experience something in your physical world, it's the tail end of the process. It's the last stage of the process. By the time something becomes physical, you're dealing with the effect level. You're not dealing with the cause level. See, this class is happening and we're sitting here as an effect of an idea that we had before we got here. So we're looking at the effect now. We're not looking at the cause. And so by the time you see something physical or experience something physical, you're experiencing the tail end of whatever it is you believe. So now, I'm experiencing the class as a result of an idea I had earlier. But if I say I want to do something this evening, should I compare what I'm looking at right now with what I'm asking to happen in the evening? No. Why? Because I'm looking at the result of the way that I thought earlier. And so I won't see the result of how I'm thinking now in a way until the future, what appears to be the future. Follow what I'm saying? So if you're in some situation in your life right now, let's say you're experiencing some form of lack, and you say, okay, now I'm ready to come to the realization of my abundance. I'm ready to allow my abundance in my life. Well, you're looking at a financial situation that's the result of thoughts that you've already had in the past. So you can't judge the way that you'd like to experience yourself based on what you're seeing right now, because what you're seeing in your bank account right now, except them begging you to close it, Because it's costing more money for them to keep your account than it is for them to cancel it. Then you're gonna be seeing the new thing that you allow. And I keep saying the word allow because we've already been blessed by infinite intelligence. That which created us loves us and doesn't deny us anything. We're the one that's the filter. We're the one that's determining how much of that infinite love and presence and abundance we allow to come into our experience. We're the one that's the filter. So it's coming at us all the time, just the way we could ever want to experience love. But it's and what's my filter? My filter are my thoughts, feelings, emotions, and beliefs. Consciously and subconsciously, from the time I got here, people were describing to me what the truth was, what was real, and I bought into it. And I'm living what I bought into. So I reached the point in my physical reality that I said, no, none of this. I don't care if I'm the only one that's looking at it weird and looking at it different. I'm going to do it different. I don't care if people think I'm crazy. I wouldn't be doing this back here what people thought. I would have stopped, cut this out a long time ago because I say a lot of stuff that don't nobody believe. Including me. You know, I have to like, woo, did I really mean that? So, that really was happening. But, think about it. There was a time that people thought, the sun, revolved around the earth, right? And somebody that thought that the earth revolved around the sun was seen as a heretic and may have even been crucified. But that doesn't make it any less true just because everybody else didn't agree. But that's the way it is for the truth that you recognize in your core. The things that you feel are right for you, and you don't need anybody else's approval that it's okay for you to act on the thing that you know is right in your core. As a matter of fact, if you really want to act on the thing that you feel is right in your own core, don't tell nobody. Because people have this nasty habit of giving you their opinion. Or feeling like somehow or another they need to correct or fix what it is you have come up with for yourself, even if you are feeling peace with it. It'd be a different thing if I came up with a revelation for myself and I was not in agreement with it, and I didn't feel okay all the way in my being about it. Then I might say, hey, could you give me another way of looking at this? Could you give me another way of taking a look at this? But when I tell you I'm satisfied, I'm peaceful, I feel whole within because of something I'm realizing, I don't need you to tell me it's wrong or I need to look at it another way or what's wrong with it or anything like that. Now, so how do I keep that from happening so I can go ahead and live my revelation, get the result of it, which always happens when I listen to myself for real, my core, not my ego, my core. Just don't say anything. Don't say anything. Don't lose the power of your realizations and your revelations by talking to people about them. Because they're going to feel compelled to tell you their point of view. Because they're looking through their psychological, emotional, mental structure. And so they're going to tell you what fits for theirs, not yours. The Course in Miracles teaches that we have an individual curriculum. That we're all headed to the same place, but we don't take the same path. The Course is just one path of many. And it's not for everybody. You can tell that by the people who burn it, throw it off the bridge, and give it away. So, that may be a hint it's not their path. I don't know. I just went on the limb. You know. So when you reach up, when you discover your path, like it was when I discovered the Course in Miracles, there may be a part of you that resisted and go, oh hell no, ooh, but you can't put it down. You can't stop. You keep going anyway. You can't help yourself. You're inspired. It's like you got to pick the book up. It ain't like, oh my God, I got to pick up my course. But no, you're like, okay, even though sometimes I want to throw this out the window. So you should find your path. You have your path, and your path will find you if you're ready. It probably already has. So I'm gonna do this in two parts. One part is going to be this week. One part is going to be next week. If you don't come back next week, you only needed to hear this part. I'm going out on a limb. Okay? Because there's something I want to share today and I want to get across. So I'm going to do something unusual that you might not be used to. I'm not opening it for questions until next week. Next week is question and discussion about what I talked about this week. Sometimes you just need to listen and let yourself hear something. Just like you would if you were listening to a CD. You don't stop the CD and go, CD! I got a problem with what you just said. You go ahead and you listen to what the whole film. So I'm just a living black, three-dimensional, holographic CD. Okay? Or better BD, black dude. All right? So So we're going to get started. We're going to take a ride. I'm going to share some stuff. It's going to be about the stages that you go through when you say you want to have a happy, loving relationship. What's going to happen as soon as you say, I love you, and I want to love somebody, and I want this relationship to work. And not just a romantic relationship. I'm talking about any kind of relationship that you have. That could be financial, spiritual, your job, your friend, cousin Bubba, anybody that you have a relationship with. You're going to go through these stages, including yourself. And so I want to try to cover a lot in a short period of time. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing this. And then I can just relax and go with, because I really want you to think about it. If you get upset, I want you to think about it. If you want to come back and hear it next week, and then we go to the next level, that's okay. And you just need to hear what you need to hear today. But I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm so grateful that you're in my life. I'm so grateful that you are me and I am you. I'm so grateful that I'm so juicy and cute. It just makes me feel good to look out at you. Lord, have mercy. It make me just want to come out and just grab all of you. Because the only way you can hold something that's, all of you, I have to become a bigger person. I have to become larger if I want to embrace all of you. So if you want to embrace something, you got to become bigger than it. Can't be the same size. I couldn't grab all of you. So I got to get big. I got to get big in my love. So let's take a trip. All right? Let's take a little trip. And let's do it in a dynamic way. I want you to take a breath right now. We're getting ready to go deeper than we've ever gone. We're going to investigate. We're going to hear. We're going to let ourselves listen and breathe by telling myself, I am blessed as a child of love. I am blessed as a child of love. Take a breath. I am blessed as a child of love. You don't have to believe these ideas. You don't have to accept these ideas. You don't have to welcome these ideas. Some of these ideas you're going to find hard to believe and quite startling. You're not asked to judge these ideas at all. Their use will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true. Breathe. Now look at somebody around you and wink your eye. I'm blessed as a child of God. I'm blessed as a child of God. I am blessed as a child of God. I am blessed as a child of God. I am blessed as a child of love. 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 We are blessed as children 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 of love. Did I say love? Are you ready? Guidelines of the course. Here we go. I need not accept the ideas. I need not accept the ideas. I need not believe the ideas. See, you gotta get it in your body. I need not accept the ideas. I need not accept the ideas. I need to with my friends. Guess what? And none of this will matter. And none of this will matter. And none of this will matter. No, because the use will give them that it's true. If I use it, I'll see that it's true. Guess what? I need not welcome the ideas. Welcome. I need not welcome the ideas. I need not welcome the ideas. So if you hear for the first time, you don't have to believe it, you don't have to second it. Some of these ideas I'm gonna actively resist. Some of these ideas I'm gonna actively resist. Some of these ideas I'm gonna and guess what? And none of this will matter. I'm channeling my inner Elvis. None of this will matter, no, because the use will give it meaning. I say the use will give it meaning and show me that the ideas are true. Show me that the idea, tell spirit though, show me that the idea said, love, I want you to show me. Woo! That the ideas are true, come on and show me. Woo! That the, I gotta ask, you gotta ask. Show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit. Now some people might be wondering, where in hell did I land? Up in a room with these strange things. Some of these ideas I'm gonna find hard to believe. Some of these ideas I'm gonna find hard to believe. Some of these ideas I'm gonna find hard to believe. Some of these ideas are gonna seem quite startling. Some of these ideas are gonna seem quite startling. I am not asked to judge the ideas at all. I am not asked to judge the ideas at all. I am not asked to judge the ideas at all. And guess what? None of this will matter. Matter, no, because its use will give it meaning. I say the use will give it meaning. Using it will show you that the ideas are true. Ideas are true. Come on and show me that the ideas are true. Come on and show me that the ideas are true. Now, if anybody feels like asking Spirit to show them, you go. Show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Holy Spirit, show me that the ideas are true. Show me, show me, show me, show me, show me, show me, show me. I made a decision a long time ago when I did this stuff was that I was gonna have some fun and I was gonna let it feel it in my body. You know what I'm saying? Because if I don't get my body involved, then that's where all my memories are stored. So if I don't get my body involved, it just becomes another head trip. So we're going to be on page 357 in the text. We're going to get in touch with our power. And then we're going to jump around, and I'm going to start out with the two pictures. And so I'm going to do a lot of I'm going to translate this into modern language. Course in Miracles gives its own definition for all the terms that it uses, even though it's written in Christian terminology. So God is another term for the Creator. It's another term for love. And so it says, if you're going to have love, if you're going to finally have relationships that are happy, It says first we need to understand why the relationship between you and your Creator was created. And it says God established God's relationship with you to make you happy. And that nothing you do that doesn't share that purpose, what purpose? Making you happy.
Wow.
Can be real. So anything that I'm doing that doesn't share the purpose of my happiness isn't real. Anything that I'm doing that doesn't share the purpose of happiness, according to the course that we don't have to believe, isn't real. And so it says the purpose that the Creator ascribed to anything, that's its only function. So whatever function that your Creator ascribed to you, that's your function. And because of your Creator's reason for creating this relationship with you, which is to what? Make happy, right? Then the function of relationships actually forever became to make happy. It's funny, I was tapping my book like it was my e-book. I'm so used to using Kindle. So I'm a nerd, and I'm proud. So that freaks people out. The purpose of relationships become to make happy and nothing else. What? You mean it's not for security in my old age? It's not for me to make sure I'm never alone? No, the purpose of a relationship is to allow you to experience happiness, nothing else. Then it says, to fulfill this function of happiness, then you got to relate to your creations, which are your relationships, the way your Creator is relating to you. So your Creator is relating to you in terms of your happiness, so I have to relate to my relationships in terms of happiness. And nothing that was created by the Creator, the Course says, is apart from happiness. So anything that was really created by love is happy. And something that's not coming from real love or real truth in that moment is not happy. Wow. So that means that we have to extend happiness the way our Creator extended happiness, and what doesn't fulfill this function can't be real. So when I first heard that 33 years ago, then I realized that many of my relationships based on that definition were not real. Didn't say they were bad, they said they weren't real. Which kind of explained the long line of different relationships I had and the things that I went through in them. If they were based on what was real, of course I was going to have a lot of pain, a lot of anger, a lot of anxiety, a lot of separation, a lot of ups and downs, because they weren't based on what was real. Maybe that's the reason I'm not happy. Maybe I'm not doing something that's real. Maybe I'm doing what I was taught. Interesting. So it says it's very important to get that part straight. Like it says, I've said repeatedly that the Holy Spirit or the higher self would not deprive you of your special relationships. So the Course in Miracles is not trying to deprive people of their special relationships. It says, I'm trying to transform your relationship. I'm not trying to get rid of your relationships with everybody. I'm trying to transform those relationships. And it says that all that's meant by that is that your higher self, God, the Creator within you, will restore to your relationship the function that was given to your relationships by the Creator. So the part of you that's still in touch with who you are, and the part of you that's still in touch with that which created you, which of course calls the Holy Spirit, the mediator, the part of you that knows the truth, and the part of you that knows that you don't know the truth, is trying to take you from the part of you that's afraid to the part of you that's not afraid. That's called the Holy Spirit. Then he says that all this meant is that part of you, the Holy Spirit, will restore to you all of your relationships the function given them by love or God, which is joy. So our higher self is just trying to take us back to the place they're supposed to be anyway, which is joyful and loving. Isn't that great? And then the next line said, the function you've given to them clearly is not to make happy. That's not the function you've given to them clearly. And said, but the holy relationship, which is a happy relationship, a loving relationship, an innocent relationship, do you know that a relationship, according to the Course, what did I do with my water? Because I got a little bit of,
I'll get you some.
yeah, thank you. I got my glasses. I got to bring in here. Warm if you can. Yeah, warm if you can. As warm as you can get it. I like my stuff hot. Ever since I made a new commitment to myself to learn the truth like I never have before and to speak it like I never have before, I created throat issues. Isn't that an accident? Isn't that strange? That once I say I want to speak and talk differently, then I would mess with my throat. Not at all. Completely makes sense. The part of me that doesn't want to change, the part of me that doesn't want to speak the truth, would obviously create something in my mouth that would keep me from easily doing it. That's why when you say you're going to change and you're getting ready to do something really big and great, it seems like everything in the world comes up to prevent that, because the old you does not want this new you to be born, and it does everything in its power to discourage you in what you're trying to do. So it's kind of silly when you first get ready to make a real big change in your life to expect it to happen with no opposition. It's not realistic. It's not realistic at all, because if you look at it that way, then the minute opposition happens, you'll quit, because you expected it not to have any opposition. But the truth is, the part of you that doesn't believe in what you're doing is going to try to convince you you're crazy for doing it. So I almost expect a so-called failure or challenge when I first get ready to do something, as part of my trick to make myself think I'm not going to be successful at what I'm doing. So look for that, and then you won't let it stop you when it comes up. And if it doesn't come up at all, right on. It's a win-win either way it goes. Right? So the opposition didn't come up. Great. Opposition did come up. Great. Means a part of me feels really threatened by this. It might be really just what I need to do. So the Course in Miracles says the holy relationship shares God's purpose rather than aiming at a substitute for it. So the special relationship is just a substitute for happiness. Because a special relationship is a relationship based on judgments and scripts and bargains. You know, if you do this, I'll do that. And if you don't do this, I'll do that. And it's a bargain. And I'll make you feel guilty if you don't. And I'll make you feel guilty if you do. It's a bargain. Some people like bargains. I would like love. That's what I'm working on right now. But damn, that means I got to change. I knew it was a catch. I want everybody else to change. Don't you know that that's a part of me just wants you to change? That if you change, then everything will be okay. Everybody got that? Yeah. If everybody else around me spoke or acted differently, then I would be absolutely happy. Right? How's it going for you? It really sets you up when you do that. See, I'm trying to allow my happiness to come from a level of not expecting anybody to change at all. I'll change my own perception of you. It's easier. I got more control over my perception than I do over you. And you know what happened? When I stopped trying to make everybody else change in order for me to be happy, I started drawing the people to me that naturally did the things that I was trying to get the people to do that I was trying to change. You know, let's say I'm totally into red, and you like green. I'm going to change you into a red lover. I'm going to get upset with you till you start wearing red. Right? We're going to go to therapy till you put on some red. But you don't like red. That's your right. But that don't mean I have to give up red. Okay, I just have to give up me having to have either one red or having to have red through you. But see, we don't play the game like that, because if you're supposed to be my everything and fulfill my every need, then that doesn't leave any room for having any needs met beyond what you can feel. So then I have to start sacrificing the things that I want that you don't want to do. And I call it love. Now I'm going to be building a lot of resentment, passive-aggressive activity, because I'm not getting what I want. You know, but the way we set it up, I can't do red with anybody besides you, but you don't like red. You know, that's why I demand freedom, and I give it, because I'm not going to limit you from having what you want, even if it's not what I can do. And if you do something that I can't handle, then that's my issue, and then I'll change or I'll choose for something different. But I'm not going to attack you because you want to do something that I don't want you to do. I want to love you unconditionally. I want to love you beyond what your body does and where you go and who you talk to. That's the only kind of relationship I feel secure in. So I got to be that way if I want to have it. Not a lot of support in the world for that kind of attitude at all. At all. But I don't give a damn whether everybody else want to do it that way or not. I don't want a love that I got to be afraid every minute about losing them because I act a certain way all the time. You can go and walk. I'll go Match.com with you. I'll use my computer, you use yours, and maybe together we can come up with the right person for you. And then you and me can still be cool. I haven't gotten rid of you. I'm just saying that form doesn't work for us. That's all. I'm not getting rid of you. I'm just saying maybe we're not meant to be partners in that way. You see what I'm saying? I don't have to condemn you. You're not bad because you don't want to do it like I want to do it. But that's what I call compassion and unconditional love. That's what I want, so that's what I have to give, and everything within me that doesn't want to give that, it comes up for me to take a look at. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I feel sorry for people who are sitting around waiting for the world to change for them to be happy. I do. My heart just goes out to them. They're sitting around miserable and sad, waiting for things to change. They're so sweet, and they look cute, and sometimes they're very, got a great fashion sense too. I've seen really cute, sad people, unhappy people, because they're waiting. They're sitting there waiting. So I'm being proactive this year. So the Course says, in a holy relationship, that what you're dealing with is a relationship that's a constant reminder of love. So you're actually in a relationship that's a constant reminder of the truth. But when you're in a relationship that's not a true loving relationship, then your relationship is a continuing song of hate in praise of the fear that's made in the relationship. Because relationships that are full of jealousy and anger and guilt are relationships that are based on fear. But if you're having a holy relationship, or what the Course calls a real relationship, then it's a relationship that's a happy song of praise to the Redeemer of relationship. So if I'm in a holy, real relationship with you, then it's a relationship that's actually a relationship that's praising God and actually praising each other in terms of how we're seeing each other and how we're relating to each other. So, now, the thing about having a holy relationship or a happy relationship is that it's a major step in the perception of the real world. The Course in Miracles says the real world is a world that is completely loving. That when you're seeing the world correctly, all you'll see around you is love. And that's happening so much now that it's kind of freaking me out. Like I was listening to this group called the Funky Meters last night, but I was doing some field work. At Savante, sometimes I'm given field work to do. And your assignment is to shake your ass for about 4 hours in the company of your brothers and sisters in joy. Okay. And I got to go to will call too? Yes. And so they were potting, we was moving, and everybody was in a great mood. And I would look around at somebody, and they were just a total stranger, and they just smile and like send me a toast. It's since marijuana became legal in Colorado, there's been a big change in the clubs. I don't know if those of y'all who've gone out have noticed that, but the crowds are a lot happier and peaceful than usual. Really chilled out now. So there's a lot of smiling going on around there. And a lot of loving energy happening around there. And I remember when I was at a place and I would have, tried to be judgmental. Like if I didn't do it, then I'm going to judge everybody else that does. Like somehow that makes me superior. And they probably so glad you're not coming, they don't know what to do. That's the way I feel about people who judge me. It's like, oh, please don't come around me. If you want to exclude me because I don't do it the way you would do it to the point that you don't want to spend time with me, thank you. The people I think are cruel are the ones who are around me and they stay around me when they don't like me. But they stay around anyway so that I can see their disapproval. I think it's more loving if you don't like me not to come around me, because that leaves a space. And do you know who fills that space? The people who do love me and who do resonate with me. So when you're happy, you forgive. Happiness is forgiveness. So if you're a happy person, you really don't have a lot of time to think about what happened to you when you were a child and what happened to you in the last relationship. That's what unhappy people do. Unhappy people who are not allowing themselves to feel the joy of the moment, they're the ones that are constantly thinking about the past. And when you start to let your joy come through, you don't have time because you're too busy experiencing all of the manifestations of the love of God that's showing up in your life. Then it becomes, how can I get around to all of it? And then it becomes so much you feel like you don't have enough time to even get around to all the love that's available to you. And then how do you handle that? Well, you stay in the now moment and you start reacting to what shows up in the moment, rather than planning so much about what you think is going to happen in the future. Because each moment is full. But when I didn't have full moments, I was always planning. Because I wasn't happy now, so I had to try to come up with something else to do. Because this wasn't a cool moment. So I was busy planning the next one. But when this moment starts to be fulfilling, you'll be spending your time being totally present in this moment, experiencing the love, and guess what happens? This moment turns into the next one. And then you find out the next moment is chilled out too. Then you'll be full in that moment, and guess what happens? It turns into the next moment. And that one turns joyful too. Then you say, well, where do those moments come from that aren't happy and joyful? Isn't that a great question? Okay, those are the moments that you're not allowing love to go through you. For some reason, now you're in the past, and now you're in the future, and you're no longer in the present, and now you're upset. So the unhappy moments are just the gaps in love that you yourself create by not loving. So in those gaps, then lack can come through, sickness can come through, attack can come through, dissatisfaction come through, the holes in your love. So do you have a hole in love in the wrong kind of way? Yeah, there are big gaps between your joy. Those big gaps are where all the problems come through. So the purpose of a relationship is really for you to get to the point that he says the relationship becomes a phenomenal teaching accomplishment. And what that means is, as it begins, as it's accomplished, as it develops, it's the reversal of the old, unholy, unhappy relationship. So when you say I want a holy relationship, you're really asking for a reversal of your unhappy relationship. And guess what? It says, be confident in this. Be confident in this. What? Do you know that the only difficult phase is the beginning? Do you know the hardest part of anything is getting started? Do you know the hardest part of anything is getting started? Do you know the hardest part of anything is getting started? Yeah. The most difficult phase is the beginning. If you can just get, you've done it before, where you put off doing something, but once you got started, you almost couldn't stop. Yeah, so the hardest part is the beginning. So that means that on your spiritual path, you go through the hardest part of your spiritual path in the beginning. You go through the hardest part of a relationship actually in the beginning if you're seeing it correctly. What happens is that most people reverse it. And it looks like they have the joy in the beginning, and then the longer the relationship lasts, the more pain you experience. And do you know why? 2 reasons in my perception. Number 1, all that unconditional love that you give each other in the beginning, right? And I've used this analogy before. When you first meet somebody and you think you're falling in love and y'all just a perfect person, they could pick their toes at the dinner table and you go, oh, that's the cutest toenails I've ever seen laying on top of my apple pie. Jesus Christ. I love it. And the smell. Because I love you. Then 6 months later, they put their foot up on the table. You try to chop it off with an axe. What happened? What happened? You know what happened. The past happened. You bring in your baggage from what happened before happened. You looking at that person in terms of the person before them happened. Looking for them to make up to you for what did not happen in the last relationship happened. Instead of being in a relationship with the person that was there, you got in a relationship with the person who wasn't. And so you missed the person that was there. And then my fantasies took over, and my needs took over, and my scripts took over, and I started looking at how they were not fulfilling my needs. Now, I didn't say I was looking at them in terms of how I was not fulfilling theirs, because it's all about me. Right? How many people have you met who said they wanted a relationship so that they could give to somebody? Most people are thinking about a relationship in terms of the satisfaction that they themselves think they're going to get from having it. That's not the same as I want to be in a relationship with you for our mutual love and joy and benefit. Most people, they want relationships for their own joy first. Even if it's not what makes you happy. Do what makes me happy. And if you don't, you're selfish. So let me get this straight. I'm being selfish if I don't do what you want me to do, even if I don't want to do it. Who's being selfish? Really?
Silence.
Check it out, Kristen. People start out liking me in my classes and they never come back. Thank God there are billions and billions of people. I could see a new student every day for the rest of my teaching life and never run out all the people that I could teach. Isn't that great? And it's the same thing that's true about your love life. You can have love as long as you don't determine who it should be to the point that you insist on it even when it's not coming to you through that person. Love will come to you, but it may not come to you through somebody who doesn't want it to. It's called free will. So, how can you tell if somebody's not your soulmate? They don't want you. It's really complicated, isn't it? Like this love stuff, this relationship stuff, the most complicated stuff in the world. And if I don't love myself, who am I gonna want? Who doesn't want me? That's going to be the criteria for the desire. Is you got to be unavailable. And y'all know what I'm talking about. Some of y'all fall in love with unavailable men all the time. Some of y'all fall in love with unavailable women all the time. And some of y'all fall in love with unavailable sheep all the time. You judging out there? Don't get too serious, you won't be able to hear none of this. Okay? I'm telling you, man, the seriousness is the best way to block your ability to hear. If you think I'm seriously trying to convince you or seriously trying to teach you, I'm not. I'm sincerely trying to let it come through me. I'm not seriously trying to do nothing. Isn't that great? I tell you. So what is the difficult phase?
The beginning.
The beginning. You know why? Because the goal of the relationship is abruptly shifted to exactly the opposite of what the goal of the relationship was. The goal at first was just about me and my happiness no matter what. The goal of the relationship was for me to be special no matter what, regardless of how it affected anybody around me, even though we're catching hell right now and I don't really feel peace right now. So my goal was fear before, basically. Now my goal is, okay, I'm ready to do this real love stuff. I'm ready to do this real happiness stuff. Right? So what is that? You're going to offer your relationship to the loving spirit for its purposes. The first thing you do if you really want a loving relationship is you say, universe, spirit, God, higher power, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to offer my relationship to you for your purposes. What's the advantage of that? Because we were told earlier that what is God's purpose in a relationship? To make happy. So therefore, what all you're simply doing is saying, you know what, Creator? I'm going to go into agreement with your desire for me to have happiness in my relationships. I'm going to collaborate. I'm going to agree. I'm going to say, okay, even though I don't know how to do it, I'm going to side with it, even if I don't know how to do it, because the first step is for me to make the decision that I'm ready now once and for all to really know what happiness is and how it works in a relationship. Now, this is the challenge. Now, the Course then says, the invitation is accepted immediately. The Holy Spirit, the higher self, wastes no time in introducing the practical results of asking the Holy Spirit of God to enter at once. The Creator's goal replaces yours. This is accomplished very rapidly, and it makes the relationship seem disturbed, disjunctive, and even quite distressing. Oh my! Disturbed, disjunctive, and even quite distressing. Oh my! So you mean I ask God to come into my relationship and the first thing that happens is that the relationship becomes disturbed, disjunctive, and even quite distressing. I started to go into these truth classes and I said I wanted to evolve and I wanted to grow. It looked like my life went down the tube as soon as I got into this stuff. I said I wanted to have a loving relationship, and as soon as I said that, we had the biggest argument we ever had since we ever been together. Well, truth tells you. Well, if you really say you're sincere about having real love, then you ask Spirit to enter, that the relationship is going to become disturbed, disjunctive, and even quite distressing. Do you know why? Because you see how much your relationship is totally out of alignment with happiness. All of a sudden, you really see how the relationship is absolutely the opposite to what you would like it to be. Whether that's a relationship with your parents, with your job, with your money, with your lover, all of a sudden you go, wow, I see all the ways we're not compatible. I see all the ways we don't get along. I see all the differences between us. That's why it's disturbed and disjunctive, because all of a sudden, when you say you want true happiness, you start to see everything that's keeping you from having it. That's why as soon as you say, I love you, I love you. You ever stood outside somebody's window and did that? I have. Like the song said, get lucky. People don't expect stuff like that. They don't expect you to be serenading. It works.
You serenade or you watch something?
What?
You serenade or you watch someone serenade?
No, I serenade.
Oh, you serenade.
Yes, I serenaded. It really was great, but I would advise you not to serenade at the wrong address by accident. It creates some problems. Make sure your GPS is working right. You know. So are you clear now that the minute that you say you want to have a happy relationship and you give it up to the universe and you say, Spirit, I want you to be in charge, that you're going to see everything in a relationship that doesn't make you happy? Then it says, because in this unhappy condition, it was just your goal that seemed to give the relationship meaning. In other words, it was just my script. It was the only reason why this means something to me is that I think I'm going to get the thing that I want to get out of it. Okay? And then the Course in Miracles says, now the relationship seems to make no sense. If it's not about me and just about the way I wanted it, and you acting out my script and making the sacrifices that I want you to make, this doesn't make any sense anymore. What am I getting out of it? How am I being, you know what I'm saying? It's like somebody doing something for you and it looks like you never do the same thing back. Then after a while they stop doing it because it doesn't make any sense to them because they're not getting the thing that they were hoping that they were going to get from doing it for you. It wasn't really giving in the first place. It wasn't giving in the first place. Sometimes I get leery if somebody like asks me out to dinner over and over again, but I haven't done the same thing, even though I never asked them to invite me out to dinner. Do you know they'll start resenting me for not inviting them out to dinner, even though it was never my idea? But if they were just giving from the joy of inviting me, then that would have been their reward, and it wouldn't have been what you need to now. You've done it 3 times. I've done it 3 times. Now you need to do it 3 times. See, bargains. The Course in Miracles says all we do is make bargains, and we call it love, and we call it relationships. And when I first heard that, I went, damn, I got to tell the truth to study this stuff. I got to really be honest with myself to really be on the truth path. And I love denial. And I love deceiving myself and pretending like I'm a much nicer guy than I really am. All I really have going for me is my face of innocence. Oh, I'm just the nicest person in the world, and I wouldn't be mean to people if they weren't mean to me. See, that's where the face of innocence is. Oh, I'm a good person. I just shot you in self-defense. I never would have shot you. So I had to let go of that image of myself as being nice to start to have any kind of spiritual progress. I had to be willing to look at my selfish ego, the part of me that bargains and that hates and holds grievances and wants it its way. I had to be willing to look at that part of me and stop pretending it wasn't there and then pretending it was in everyone else around me. It's because when I didn't want to see it in my own mind, I just projected into everybody else around me and say, they're the selfish ones, they're the guilty ones, they're the ones that don't know how to love. I do though. I'm just looking for the right person. And I keep attracting the people that don't know how to love me. See, I don't know how to love me. I keep attracting the people who don't know how to love me. I don't know how to love me. I keep attracting the people who don't know how to love me. But I do know how to love. I'm just waiting for the right person to love. I'm going to love everybody when they're worth it. So I'm waiting. I got a lot of love for the right person that they ever show up. I'm going to give it to them as if they're going to show up before I give it. I'm looking for them to actually show up before I give it. I used to make people work too hard for my dysfunctional love. They had to work. And I didn't even know how to love them. And I made them work so hard for it. Any of y'all do that? Oh, y'all just perfect, aren't you? Everybody looking like, really? I've never had a script for anybody. I just want everybody's love unconditionally. What you talking about, black man? That's right, it's just black folk don't know how to love. I like to joke about race because people are so sensitive about race. You mention anything race, you just watch the splinter muscles. Just I don't have a racist bone in my body. You said black boy. Because I'm a spiritual person. I'm metaphysical. I never noticed you were black, Earl. I'm a spiritual being. What? You black? Why you say that? And I always respond, are you friggin' blind? That's the problem. Take me home to mom. Take me home to daddy. He said in the South all the time when I talk. Oh, you never noticed I was black. Take me home. In the South, you have like secret white Course in Miracles students who their parents don't even, friends don't even know they come to the class. It's like I had a TV show, and then when I got my TV show, most of my class stopped coming because part of them did not want to have anybody see that they were there. They were hiding theirs, like most of us do. We hide our spiritual beliefs of metaphysical nature. We hide it, you know. And so it was funny to watch how many people felt self-conscious about people knowing that they came to a class that was being taught by me, even though they had no issues around race. But that's what we do. We lie to ourselves. We deceive ourselves all the time and then get hurt and then wonder where the pain is coming from. So I'm telling my Holy Spirit self, show me my shadow. Look, let me see those little nook and crannies where I'm deceiving myself so that I can stop friggin' hurting myself. I'm not going to keep on hiding from myself. I got to do some shadow work. In the Course in Miracles, it's shadow work. It's your willingness to look at beliefs that you have that you don't know you have. That these beliefs are creating the physical things that you are experiencing that you do not like. They are coming from your own subconscious beliefs. They're not just showing up willy-nilly. If everybody's attacking you, you have some attack thoughts. If everybody's loving you, you have some loving thoughts. You can't be the nice person always being jacked up. You're a nice person with some jacked up thoughts. Some thoughts that are less than loving for yourself. And those people are showing up in your life to show you that. But what does the ego mind do? It says, they're the problem. I just need to change them so that they'll like me more. I just need to change my uncle, my mama, my daddy, my sister. I had this most incredible experience when I went home and visited my family over the Christmas holidays. It was like I walked into a twilight zone and everybody was totally different from anything I'd ever experienced before. My son, my daughter, my grandchildren. Everybody was like so free and loving to me in a way I had never experienced before. And then my sisters and my 3 sisters and my brother, they decided to have a little get together for me for my birthday. So after my son and daughter had fixed me this fabulous meal and cooked my favorite meal, and my daughter-in-law had on a chef outfit, and my granddaughter had on one was matching just like hers. And they was asking me what my favorite food was and fixing it. And I've had a very interesting, challenging relationship with my children. They were born again Christians. And I'm a Course in Miracles teacher. Don't exactly fly. You know, hell and sin and damnation versus innocence, no hell, only loved can clash. You know? Yeah. But I wanted to just give and receive love and realize that in my relationship with them, they weren't here to act out my script, not even my spiritual script. They had their own lessons to learn, their own script. And I had to really work with that within myself. And when I feel the contraction come up, then I have to love anyway. Even when I was feeling like, I want to withhold my love right now because they're not acting the way I want them to act toward me. They haven't been to a class I've done since they was 10 years old, 20, 30 years. So you get real life situations that you yourself create to see if you can practice into the stuff you're talking about as opposed to just talking it. So then I had to show up loving because I realized it was a collaborative venture between me and them for our mutual spiritual growth because we set up a situation between us where we had to love each other unconditionally or not have a relationship at all. Some people in your life will never change so that you will change your own mind. And if they change just because you wanted them to change, then they would be convincing you that the way to be happy is to try to get everybody around you to change. So be thankful for those people that no matter what you do, it looks like they're still the same way. Because those are the people that are getting you in touch with your need to change your own mind and your power to change your own mind so that you don't give your peace up whether or not they're doing what you want them to do or not. Now you're becoming strong and powerful as a spiritual being. Not because everybody gives in to you and says, okay, I'm going to do what you want me to do. Because they're just convincing you that the way to be happy is to change everybody and everything outside. They're really not your friend. You think they are, but that's not really helping you really to further convince you that you trying to manipulate other people for your own personal fantasies is the way you achieve happiness. So some people I call them worthy opponents. They challenge you to practice every single thing you say you are studying. And that's their beauty. Other than that, you just be corner classes, talking about how cool you are, and haven't really integrated any of the teachings. So don't you see why when you really say you're committed to your spiritual growth and your awakening, that the first thing that's going to happen is that you're going to be distressed because you're going to you yourself see how much you yourself are not the loving being that you thought you were, and how unconscious you are, and how selfish you can be, so that you can finally let it go, because beneath that selfish self is this unselfish, radiant, powerful, beautiful child of God that you are. That's just waiting to express itself behind all the erroneous ideas that you've learned since the day you were born.
Woo! Woo-wee! Baby, you got it today.
Full of Miley Cyrus. Miracle silence. So breathe. So many relationships have broken off at this point. And the pursuit of the old goal reestablished in another relationship. Because once the unhappy, screwed up relationship has accepted the goal of finally knowing love and happiness and holiness, it can never again be what the relationship was. Now the temptation of your old self is going to become extremely intense with this shift in goals. Because your relationship hasn't changed enough to make your old goal of just having your fantasies in the way that you want it still without appeal. Your whole relationship structure is threatened by the recognition that this relationship is totally inappropriate for meeting its goal. And so the conflict between your goal of having a real happy relationship and the structure of the relationship that's making you miserable right now becomes so obvious that the goal and the relationship cannot coexist. You realize you can have this goal of finally wanting to be happy and keep the relationship the way that it's always been. Follow that? You see that it's not what you want it to be, and yet you see you have this goal that you want it to be, and you know that this structure the way it is now and the goal that you have right now, they can't coexist. So what do you do? What do you do? Well, you don't change the goal. I'll say it again. You don't change the goal, which is I'm ready to have peace and joy in my relationships. I'm tired of the guilt. I'm tired of the suffering. I'm tired of the not being appreciated the way I think I should within and without. So right now, you're set in a relationship that's not making you as happy as you like to be. So there's no course except to change the relationship to fit the goal. I'll say it again. If the structure is not what you want, but you know you're ready for peace, you know you're ready for joy in your relationships, no matter what it is, a financial relationship, a physical relationship, doesn't matter what it is. You got to say, I know it's like this over here, this structure is not what works for me, but I'm not going to change my goal. I'm not going to compromise. I'm not going to give up my desire to finally know happiness for real. I'm going to change this friggin' relationship to fit the goal of joy, to fit the goal of my peace. But until you see this happy solution, that you got to change the relationship, you got to learn how to have a new structure in your relationship by changing your goal, then your relationship is going to be extremely strained. Your relationship is going to be extremely unhappy until you go, I'm ready for peace. I'm ready for joy. I'm ready to be in a relationship where I can communicate completely, that I don't have to hide my thoughts. I don't have to hide my actions because I'm so afraid that this person is going to withdraw their love, or I'm going to lose them, or they're going to attack me. I need a relationship that does not function that way. I want a relationship that fits this new goal of peace and joy and consciousness and awakening and happiness. And if it's a romantic relationship, also with some good passionate orgasms thrown in on the side. Spiritual students, orgasms? Did Jesus have orgasms? Ask Mary. You need to check out those lost years of Jesus. Now, did you hear that part? You got to change the relationship to suit the goal. You have to admit that you don't know how to do that. So you're ready to learn a new way to look at it. It might be the Course in Miracles, it may be some other book. But what you're doing is saying, I don't really know how to be an unconditionally loving being yet. And I'm no longer going to try to teach myself based on my own past experiences and my own past learning. I'm going to open up to it wisdom and a knowledge that's greater than my own ego. I'm going to admit that I don't know. I'm going to have a beginner's mind. I'm going to go, you know what? I don't know how to have a relationship like that. And readiness is not mastery. I'm ready to do it, but I haven't mastered it yet. And I'm willing to learn. And I'm willing to master it. You deserve it. It's what I want for you. It's what I'm here to support in every way I can. But you have to make the decision that you have reached your limit. And stop compromising about what you think you deserve. Because there's always someone that love can come to you through, but it originates with you and your connection to source, your connection to source, your connection to source, your connection to love. You deserve it. I want it for you. Would you acknowledge yourself for hearing this much today, God? Whoa, this is just part one. We'll do part two next week. If somebody gets you there, you might want to consider inviting them. Just maybe they might look at it another way. So we're going to do the financial expression of appreciation right now. I'm a full-time teacher of the course. I don't charge a certain fee for my classes so that people will come regardless of their financial situation. So I trust that those of you will feel if this is valuable, that you'll share it with me just like you would like to be shared with if you were doing your service in the world. And I'm sustained by the love of God. Can you share this over here? Thank you. Thank you. Those of you on the internet, thank you so much for your support and your love. And if you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, you can go to my website at earlpurdy.com and you can make a financial expression there. I'm also available for what I call clarity sessions. And clarity sessions are basically when I take everything that I've learned, including my knowledge of astrology and numerology, and apply it to whatever the personal situation is that you're dealing with, that you're ready to see another way of dealing with. Now, at the end, you still have to follow the instructions, but you don't have an original problem, and you don't have a problem that hasn't already been solved. So I'm available online. You can go to my website, and we can do it over Skype and over the phone also. So I am available. I love sharing with people on a one-on-one because it gives me a chance to heal what needs to be healed in me also. So answers are available. Tuesday night I do a class called The Way of Mastery. A very powerful class at 7 o'clock on Tuesday night. We have a great group. You might want to check that out. It's, like I said, it's here. So as you go into Valentine's Day, ask yourself, what is love? And the Course in Miracles says, love means appreciation. That if you were to substitute the word appreciation for the word love, you would have a definition of love that wouldn't be frightening. But it's frightening when someone tells you they love you, when you have the old definitions of it. Because most people, when they hear that, they go, oh Lord, here it comes. Right? Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Instead of jumping up and down, you go, oh my goodness, we've been getting along fine. Now you just did it. Because there's a bunch of scripts that go on. Right? Immediately, bam! I got this, and 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 this that you need to do because I love you. I love you. You know, so go. The Course says, "Who you limit, you hate." I'm like, ooh, that's kind of strong. But that's the kind of stuff that I need to hear. That's maybe shake me out of my drunken stupor. You know, who you limit, you hate. And if you limiting you, stop hating you, because you need somebody to rock with you. So I'm going to do a quick review for about 3 minutes, and then you can go out there in the lab, and you can go out there and you can get you whatever it is you think you need to get you. And like I told my classes many times over the years, there's somebody praying for somebody just like you right now. Your size, your shape, your the way you think and everything. And they think it's a step up. Isn't that great to know? That people who really would see you as a big step up from what they allowed themselves to experience. That's not an insult. That's the truth. Right? And you deserve it. And if you're in a holy relationship, you're in a relationship where somebody's reminding you that you deserve it and not telling you that you don't for all the reasons that you don't. So I'm going to give you the truth. You two are just good, juicy, loving beings. And, all right? So here we go. Just breathe, and then we're going to hear it.
Now, when you first say you want to have love, you have to realize that real love, the only purpose of having a relationship is to make happy. You want to have your old relationship move toward the new relationship. And when you ask Spirit to come in, Spirit's going to come in really, really fast. You got to carry on. Let's carry on and say, all I want to do is rock with you. Shout it out, tell your friends too. Love is me, love is you. This is what we want to do. All I want to do is rock with you. Shout it out, tell your friends too. Love is you, love is you. This is what we want to do. Now, if you don't kill a couple of people, move your head. You're gonna find out first when you say you want love. The relationship is gonna be very disturbed, disjunctive, and distressing. That's because you're gonna see how opposite the relationship is to the kind of relationship that you know that you really want in your heart. You got to carry on. No matter what, you got to carry on. What? All I want to do is rock with you. Shout it out, tell your friends too. Love is me, love is you. This is what we want to do. All I want to do is rock with you. Shout it out, tell your friends too. Love is me and love is you. This is what we want to do. So you got to make sure that you change the relationship to suit your new goal. So when you walk out here today and say, I'm ready to have my financial, every kind of relationship I have changed to suit the goal, then you come back, for instance, here or study something else, and I will give you the step-by-step process to allow that to happen. So if you want to do is rock with you, shout it out and tell your friends too. Love is me, love is you. What? This is what we want to do. So do you want to rock with the love that's you? Shout it out. I say, do you want to rock with the love that's you? You are so juicy and very sweet. You are so totally neat. I love me, I love you. Stop walking around and feeling so blue. Give it up. See, I'm giving up what I want to receive. I'm basically a very bashful person. So I have to go, okay, bashful Earl, sit your butt down, and this one you put out what you want to receive. I will not be a prisoner of my personality. I am in control of it. And now I want you to hold on, because I'm coming. Spirit is coming. Love is coming. Okay, say what? Lean on me when the times are bad. When the day comes, say what? Tell love. Hold on, love. I'm coming, abundance. Hold on, love. I'm coming, abundance. Hold on, freedom. Let it in. Open your chest up and let the love in. Cause I'm here. Don't open your heart. Open your heart and tell somebody, hold on. I'm coming, love. Hold on, love. I'm coming, what? Hold on, love. I'm coming, love. Love, I'm coming. Say God. Reach out to God saying, reach out to me for satisfaction. Says, call my name. Call my name. For a quick reaction. Yeah, so let's break it down. I deserve to be paid for having fun. I deserve to be paid for having fun. I deserve love. I deserve love. I deserve love. Now the last thing we said to the beginning. That's how we're going to end. I want somebody who don't mind saying it out loud with me. You want to be quiet? That's fine. But if you feel like playing with me, say, I am blessed as a child of love. I am blessed as a child. Now tell somebody, you are blessed as a child of love. You are blessed as a child of love. I say you are blessed as a child of love. We are blessed as a child of love. I appreciate y'all. Yeah. I love you. I love you. I love you. Hugs are available. I love y'all. Y'all so damn cool. You awesome. You a blessing.